You've never been afraid of the dark? You're used to mock your friends whenever they told you their horror stories of what lurked inside of the middle school once or twice in the past. You may have heard trepidation before stepping into the dark, but if you were a senior now, you would knew there was no such things as monsters. There were no vampires hunting for perfect darkness of the night, no zombies waiting to grab your ankles when you didn't see where you were stepping, and there were certainly no ghosts waiting for you to turn the lights out so they can appear in your bedroom. These were the nightmares that you've never had because there is no real reason to fear what didn't exist. You never had a reason to fear of the dark, but if you had, maybe you shouldn't be where you are now. It was always a show of fearlessness whenever you looked into the unlit alleyways as a shortcut to your way home. Not every time, but when you were walking with some friends and found the opportunity to present itself, you would just sink down to your path as they went around, hoping they wouldn't notice that you were gone. You'd wait up until you were just about the other side of the alleyway and leap out to give them a scare. You further solidified their fear in the dark while elevating your own, which uneventful trek though, the darkness. At least until the time where you look at your friends a bit longer to realize that you were gone. For the first time you encountered something unexpected in the void of light. It grabbed you, choked you, and as you thrashed, you felt even more of these beings as they grabbed your arms and legs and pinned them. The last thing you heard before succumbing to unconsciousness was the panicked voices of your friends calling out for you. Now you have nightmares every night. That's not to say the iron cage you're locked in brings you many in comfort when you awake. The grimy metal encloses all around you, not giving you even enough room to stretch your legs. You have a single pillow, sticky and smelly, unwashed watch for who knows how long, and that you rest your head on, curled up into a fetal position, while your naked body shivers on the cold floor. No, there's nothing that you won't want to wake for, but to escape what you've seen, and now you close your eyes. When you're lucky, you're still in the cage, at least till time passes quicker that way. But more often you imagine the grotesque faces and shapes of the monsters that now hold you and what their plans might be. These nightmares have become deeply ingrained into your mind, and the idea of monsters no longer seems to be so laughable to you. The dreamscape of horrors runs rampant in your sleep, as if making you wake up for the lost years of peaceful nights. It's been dark for days now, maybe weeks. Dim lights illuminated some spots around you, and you see the other cages, more captives of these creatures, but no one makes a sound, for fear attracting too much attention from their captors. Food comes in scarcely, a particular grill of just edible enough to keep you alive. You eat it, praying for the salvation may come, but this routine continues, day after day, weaning you from your hopes and prayers. But one day the routine stops and you hear some unfamiliar your voices across the room. Metal creaking and moaning sounds of you pleading, and muffled cries echoed the chamber, slowly approaching you. Eventually they'll make your way into your personal prison. The cage door creaks as it opens, but you merely weep quietly as your hands are tied and a gag fills your mouth, knowing that you can say will sway the creature that nothing will do. It pushes you into a fine line with the other victims, and slowly you march along until the line approaches to a single heavy door. One by one the captives are marched out through the door. As it opens it slams shut behind you. No one has come back out. After living in this hell, throughout the nightmares and darkness, you almost welcome the thought of your death beyond its door. Every few minutes another victim passes through, maybe a quick death you hope. Hope for a painless one too. But could life be that fair? Only two more remain in front of you. You imagine saying goodbye to your friends and family. One left, you pray for forgiveness just to be safe. Now it's just you and the door. You hear nothing beyond it. Silence surrounds you. You look behind you. You could just make out the figure standing there. There is no escape. You'll accept death and prepare yourself. The door opens, and then the hand grabs you and pulls you inside. You hear the door slam shut behind you. The same hand pulls you forward by the wrists a few steps. An unmistakably human lets you go, and after just a moment's wait, a bright light blinds you. It seems brighter than any other light you've ever seen before. You turn around about to try to find the source, but suddenly that never-ending silence was broken by the murmuring of voices. You stop moving and hoping your vision to return as quickly as possible. Gradually, you begin to make out faces. People, they stare at you in the darkness from slightly below. You finally found the source of the light above you. You realize you're on stage and that your mind races to explain what's happening. But as you look over the faces of the crowd in front of you, there is only one you recognize. Your teacher of yours, Mr. Corman. You're playing in his physics class right now, and you could tell by the shocked look on his face that he recognized you. You try to call out, to beg for help, but the gag ensures your only muffled nonsense comes out. You can only get plead for a few seconds before a voice booms over into the intercom. This is the last one for tonight, people, so lay down what you've got now. Bidding starts at 10,000. Hands go up in the crowd, raising the bids higher, and you can only watch in horror for your last hope. Mr. Corman breaks his sly smile over his face and raises his hand as well. You were all right about monsters at least. They didn't exist, but at least you look at the sadistic faces filling the crowd in front of you. You understand that there's a fair share of sinister things hiding in the dark, and that your nightmares are just the beginning. And that, my pretties, was Darkest Nightmares, a creepypasta written by Provider92. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I'm gonna definitely sit here and say this right now that I was actually looking at trying to find some good, or at least some decent, creepypastas to narrate, so I apparently came across this one. Now, I did hear, Lighthouse Horror narrated this story about 2 years ago, and I did hear, Hinge Studios actually narrated this one 6 years back, and Belladonna Black also narrated this one, and I mean, I've seen a few people actually narrate this story, and this is actually a pretty good story for what this, really was. I mean, it's a freaky one, I'm not gonna deny it one bit. I mean, it's a freaky one at that, but I would have to say it's a pretty messed up, story. I mean, the concept itself, the protagonist going through what's happening in there, I'm like, oh my goodness. I think it just went from 1 to 100. Maybe that might be just me, but yeah. I think it just went from 1 to 100 at this point because I'm like looking around. I'm like, okay. I mean, like, I was like, okay, because it honestly was starting to go back and forward, and, you know, it's a pretty, it's a pretty messed up story for what it is. I mean, it's a good one, yes, but I really have to say, it's a pretty good pasta. I mean, yeah, I've seen other pastas that are just as good as this, but this one honestly looks pretty well made. I mean, I like the concept of the self of how it went out. I like the grammar, the sentence structuring. I like the storyline of this, and I mean, it's messed up of what's going on. I mean, wow, it's pretty something. Like, I'm not gonna deny that one bit. It's really crazy. I mean, it's still a pretty good story. And I know the Fox, like Vac, VAK Reads, the Fox, he actually narrated this story a few years back too. And I mean, it's a pretty good pasta for what this is. I'm not denying that one bit. It's a pretty good, creepypasta. And it's on the regular creepypasta wiki. And I recommend you guys go check out this story. I mean, I haven't checked out this story. Like, I think I checked out this story once, maybe in 2018. But I wasn't really into creepypastas at the time. But now that I'm into creepypastas, I finally got my fair share to, take a read at this story. So, yeah, pretty good pasta. I'm not gonna lie. It's a really good concept. I do like it. It's a well-made story. I definitely have to say it's definitely worth a read. I think you guys should go check it out if you want to. It's on the regular Creepypasta Wiki, and yeah. Anyways, I guess with that being the case, so that being said, let's get on with my final rating. Like I'm gonna say right now, and like I always continue to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be a 10 out of 10. It's a very enjoyable creepypasta. It's really well made in detail. I do enjoy the concept behind it all. And I mean, it's just really well made in detail. Amazing, yes. But I mean, there's a lot of great detail into it, despite it being, short. Well, not really short, like not under a minute creepypasta, but you can understand and get the idea for what I mean. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna say here right now is that this story actually was honestly pretty good. So, with that being the case, and with that being said, I mean, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys not? And also, what would you have done to make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.